we're going to talk about some service dog etiquette today between the handlers and then people who don't have a service dog who may interact with one, and then the dog itself. It's going to be kind of a crash course, be quick, hopefully. I won't keep you here forever. First I'll do a little bit of an introduction. I'm Eloise, and this is Rue. This is my brother's service dog. He has epilepsy, and Rue is a medical alert dog, so he will go and get help for Chase. And also, if you guys have any questions throughout, let me know. You can just like raise your hand or whatever, because it's going to be a lot of information and it might be hard to remember at the end. And Chase was kind enough to let me borrow his service dog, but he doesn't quite like to be the poster child for these things. He's a little bit shy. So he was kind enough to let me bring him. What to do when you encounter a service animal. Do ask for permission before touching or interacting with the animal. Understand that if the handler says no, that the animal is most likely actively working and cannot be distracted. Leave space between you and the animal in passing, and respect the animal and its handler. So kind of the leave room for them in passing. You're not expected to like completely get out of the way when a service dog is present. But they have a command, it's called line up. So he'll kind of stay close to Chase when, and like if he's in a tight hallway, like he goes to school, come here, that sort of thing. But, you know, just don't make it a point to bump into him or anything, or step on his paws, anything like that. And then, don't question the handler on their disability. You would be surprised how many people just offer up their issues and want to know everything about my brother's, and he's not comfortable with that, and I don't think many people would be. Approach the dog when it's actively performing a service. We'll better talk about what that looks like, because it's not always visible, just like all disabilities are not visible. Do not pull on the animal's tail, ears, leash, etc. This goes for your children too. We have a lot of toddlers come up and they ain't gone in and pull them. Just make sure that your kids know not to interact with the service animal either. Fake service animals, you'll see a lot of this, especially lately. How can you tell if a service dog is real or not? The training, you know, if you see a handler being walked by their dog rather than them walking the dog, that's going to be kind of a telltale sign. If they're barking at you, barking at your service animal, that's going to be another tell. Pay attention to where the dog's focus is. If the dog is looking at everything but their handler, like, yeah. He's uncomfortable with me. He's very used to Chase. They do everything together. But if he's, you know, looking at everything but the person who is in charge of him, chances are they're not a real service animal. They're usually very bonded with their handler. How they react to being touched by others. This is something that I've noticed with Rue. What?
Can you demonstrate it? How he ducks away, how he's
trying to... This is something that we've kind of noticed specifically with Rue. My dog Wendell, if you even put your hand out, he's like rolling over for you to rub his belly. But Rue, I'll bring him up. Who would like to, you want to try? So when somebody goes to pet him, he kind of doesn't really like it. He kind of backs away. He doesn't really like it. It makes him uncomfortable, especially when he's with Chase. He's like much more dramatic when he's with Chase. So he also has, you want to come back here for a second? Oh. He also has a command that lets him know it's okay to accept affection. So, go see, Rue. Good job. You just want to see. And then the vest and the pack. So a lot of people like to buy fake vests off of like Amazon and strap them on their dogs. But Rue's has a certified, okay, sit. Come over here, actually. Okay, sit. Okay, so like this, sit. This embroidery right here says Paws Giving Independence, and that's the organization where Rue was trained with Chase. And then he's got a couple of patches that are his like specific certifications for what he does, and then he also has a car show patch because Chase loves his little car shows that he goes to with my dad and my grandpa. But they can customize it a little bit, but these are some main things that you want to look for.
The real service dogs will have that ADA patch on.
Yes.
And that, when Chase needs a new vest, I'm sorry. I'm
No,
jumping
you're
ahead.
fine. You know more about it than I do. You've been
When
all
Chase needs a new vest, we have to turn in that patch to the organization. They will then give us a new patch. We're only allowed 2. So Rue has a winter vest and a summer vest. And if it gets worn out or dirty and we need to get new one, we have to go back to the organization and train them. So if you're ever in question if the dog is a real service dog, look for that patch because they don't just give those out and you can't buy them off the internet.
Right, yes.
Oh, and then the reaction to other animals. My dog Wendell, PTI takes this very seriously. My dog Wendell can do pretty much everything that Rue can do, but he does not react well with other dogs. He wants to go and see everybody and every dog, and sometimes he isn't so friendly with other dogs that are smaller than him. So they take that very seriously. If another service dog is barking at another service dog, chances are they're definitely not a real service dog. And then the leash. So we'll talk more about this too, but you can see like sit. You see like the big hole, that's gonna be to go around their body. And then there's a handle down here too. So this is the 2 points of contact. So he would typically wear it something like this. And then you're supposed to have 2 points of contact on a service dog at all times. And those are his. Just gives you better control over them and it keeps them safe too from other people and dogs. Consequence of faking a service animal. If you didn't know, it is very illegal. You can be fined up to $500 if you're caught, and also if your dog harms our dog, we can press charges. And this has actually happened a couple of times. We've had Rue be attacked by, pugs? 2 pugs at the car show.
Little dogs.
Yeah, and they got him pretty good.
Yeah.
And 2 Dobermans also attacked him at the mall. And that time, the mall security wouldn't do anything about it. Like Chase was there by himself, and he tried to go to them and say, "Hey, I can't even stay here unless these people are removed." And they didn't.
Were the Dobermans part of security, or?
They were the mall security. Yeah. And they said that they couldn't do anything about it, which is not true. So, know the laws regarding it. Questions you can ask a service dog handler. There are only a handful of questions that are legal for specifically business owners to ask if they want to keep him from entering somewhere. You can't. If he's a real service dog animal, you cannot turn him away. Legally, you should not ask question a handler on their disability whatsoever. If the handler offers that information following these approved questions, it is their right to do so. So don't pry. No, go
I
ahead.
didn't mean to interrupt, but
No.
I was just thinking, how do you have programs that are available for business owners so they understand that, what to look for?
My understanding is that every business owner is supposed to have some sort of training. You know how every job kind of has the online training now that you're supposed to do. People are supposed to be aware of the rules. Do you have something to add?
If you're specifically asking for,
Yeah, I'm retired, so it's not me, but I've seen so many more instances of dogs that just to me, at Costco,
Mhm.
Oh, I
all
saw,
over the
I know,
place.
yes.
And it's really disturbing to me because when people really need one,
Yeah.
obviously,
And Chase has been accused of Root being fake countless of times. And I mean, that's just really upsetting to him because it makes him feel like his disability is invalid.
how awful.
Yeah. So that's kind of why we always say not all disabilities are visible. So that's why we kind of preface with these questions so that you're not overstepping that boundary, but you can get an idea if they know what they're talking about. So first is, may I pet your animal if they're not actively working? So that would kind of be especially the focus, is if the dog is really locked in on Chase, chances are he's very emotional, or he's having an aura, which is kind of the build up to his seizures. So look at the dog before you walk up and ask to pet it. If they're really focused on their owner, if the owner is interacting with them, don't ask to pet it. Not everybody is okay with their animal being pet.
The other thing is that Chase finds it very difficult when we're in crowds, like he likes to go to car shows with his dad, and just walking through the show because everyone wants to pet the dog.
People,
And
they
he
wanna
stopped like
Bison,
Right.
Yeah,
every
just
time
like
there's
celebrities,
people,
they don't
there's someone
wanna be
stopping
mobbed all
them,
the
and
time.
it's very difficult for us to navigate through a crowd because of people reaching out to Rue and stopping Rue.
Yes.
So that's another reason to not.
So, no, you're fine. The actual questions that we were told all business owners are supposed to be aware of is this a service animal? And what service does your dog provide? And the way that they are going to answer those questions is also kind of a tell. They're not going to give you, rattle off their disability and exactly the commands that the dog does. All they're going to say is, he's a medical alert dog. Or stability, something along those lines. They're not going to give you their whole life story and everything. So those are some good questions to ask. About Rue. So Rue was trained for roughly 2 years by Paws Keeping Independence. I believe he did a year without Chase and then a year with Chase. Yeah. So he's the real deal. He did not take any of his training lately. Rue can fly, ride in the car, boat, swim. He can do just about anything you and I can do. He's pretty active. When we go on flights and stuff, he does have to sit at the very front of the plane with the open leg space. So Chase does get pre-board, and then when he is on the boat, he has to wear a life jacket. So,
Because he has flown off the boat, directly behind Chase and trying to get a 75-pound dog up out of the water because he follows Chase wherever he goes. There's nothing underneath you. Has
That
proven
was fun.
challenging.
3 people to get him out of the water.
It's like they're talking.
He was sponsored by Subaru, so that's why his name is Rue. Service dogs are very, very, very expensive. We are very grateful to have Rue have been gifted to us. Not only is him expensive on his own, but also his equipment. We had a lot of people who donated equipment to us, and a lot of my grandparents' friends and my parents' friends that were doing kind of an Amazon wish list thing, because he has to have a lot of his attire needs to be paid for and all sorts of stuff. Rue has been on the news. I couldn't find the picture of him on the news. I was looking
You
for
should
it.
have asked me, I could have gotten it.
Chase has done some awareness stuff. I think he's honestly just kind of burnt out of it. He did a lot of it from the beginning, and he's had Rue for about 4 years now, so he's like, just wanting to work and be mine. But he has done some epilepsy awareness and teaching people about the service dogs. And Chase is very open about it, so if you do have questions about Rue specifically, he's happy to answer them. He's extremely food motivated. If you haven't noticed, I've been holding this treat right here, and he hasn't taken his eyes off of it, and he'll do anything for it. He just will do anything for food. Sometimes even he gets a little bit stubborn, and if he's not interested in the specific treat that you have in your hands, he'll sit there and wait for you to give him something else. Or he'll drop it on the floor and look at you until you go to something else. Rue's a completely normal dog when he's out of vest. Sometimes he doesn't want to put his vest on. You know, he wants to be a normal dog. But if I were to take this vest off right now, he'd be running around like a normal dog. He won't jump on you, he won't bite you, he won't bark at you, anything like that. But he does still like to play, and he's very energetic. And he loves to get scraps under the table.
Oh, yeah.
Some rules service dog owners have to follow. So we can only have 3 dogs per household with Rue. We have maxed out this rule. I have a dog, my dad has a dog, and then Chase has Rue. That was my phone. Rue has to recertify every year. So this kind of consists. What?
With
And
Chase.
Chase.
Well,
They
yeah,
both
and
do.
Chase. So they have to keep up with he has basic skills that he has to know to be in public, and if he goes in for his recertification and he fails that, then Rue has to take some time off, and Chase has to take some time off from having Rue, and they have to redo their training, and it's a whole process. Luckily, this has never happened. Rue's a very good boy, and Chase can carry treats with him throughout the entire process, so he does pretty well. And then I'll show you guys some of his basic skills that he has for in public at the end. Rue must maintain a specific weight. This is a challenge for Rue. He's a lab, he's very food motivated, and he's very lazy when he is out of vest. He'll do anything when he's in vest, but at home, when he's not playing with the other dogs, he likes to sleep a lot. Service animals cannot go on escalators. If you see a service animal riding up the escalator, they are not a service animal. This is like the biggest rule that they tell us. Every time we're at the airport, we can't find stairs, Chase is carrying him, this 80-pound dog, up the escalator. I mean, seriously, it is so dangerous for them. There are nails. He also has to keep his nails trimmed to a certain length, because if they get caught under something like that, I mean, that's going to put him out for a while too. Rue needs two contact points on the leash, so we kind of went over that. Chase does not always have to have Rue with him, because it would be really overwhelming to have to. I mean, I have a dog who is not with me all the time, and it's overwhelming sometimes. Like, they're a lot of work. So sometimes Chase does want a break from Rue, and that's fine. But someone else may not pose with him as their service animal. So technically, this is pushing it, but he is not mine, he is Chase's. I can't take Rue to Walmart and just walk around with him and not disclose that he's not my service animal. Rue has to be groomed professionally once a month. Technically, they just have to be groomed and cleaned at all times. Rue, because he has such a thick coat and because he's so heavy, it's really hard to groom him at home, and it's a big job. And his undercoat has to be blown out, and that is out of respect for everybody else in public, because the shedding, one, nobody wants to be cleaning that up all the time, and two, allergies and stuff like that. So treats, this is something I actually thought of today. There are some foods that are actually really dangerous for dogs that you wouldn't expect. Mom just informed me on the first one, because Wendell loved grapes, but he's not allowed to have them anymore. Grapes are really bad for your dogs. Popcorn, the kernels can block their digestive system, and that is something that cannot be fixed. So the dog will have to be put down. So really don't feed your dogs popcorn. Dark chocolate, this one is pretty well known, but people seem to think it's all chocolate. It's really just dark chocolate. Avocado, chicken, beef, etc., the bones. They can have the meat, but the bones are really bad for them. Same thing, block their digestive system. They can't digest it and break it down, so it gets caught. Onions, tomatoes, and potatoes are also things they can't have. Some safe alternatives are carrots, peanut butter, cheese, bananas, blueberries, apples, broccoli, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, and cucumbers.
And Rue loves them all.
Yes, Rue will do anything for any of these foods, whether they're safe or not. He wants them all. Actually, the safe alternatives are actually pretty good for your dog, so it's not really a treat. It's actually going to help their digestive tract a lot. The only ones that you might need to be concerned about are peanut butter, the cheese, and the cottage cheese. Can be harsh if you give them too much of it. But everything else on this list is actually pretty beneficial to them.
I have one question.
Yeah.
You have to watch peanut butter because some of it has xylitol as a sugar in it, and that is toxic.
Yeah, that's another thing that I almost put on the list, but I didn't know that xylitol was in peanut butter, but it's like an artificial sweetener, and they put in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, the peanut butter that separates and you make
Yeah.
that safe.
She makes her own peanut butter, for real. We're very dedicated to this dog, and all of our dogs. So, this is Wendell. What happens to service dogs that fail the training? They become a Wendell.
I'm in jail because
So Wendell did the training. He did like 3 years, and he never got a person, and he failed. So I was able to submit an application to get him, and because of Rue, I was kind of shoo-in. Thankfully, he has changed my life entirely. He can do just about everything that Rue can do, other than he's a little bit naughty. But he's an incredible dog, and my mom actually kind of wrote an essay for me and submitted it, and that's how we wound up with him. So those are kind of the two ways that they're dealt with. PGI dogs will never be put down. They'll never be put in a shelter, nothing like that. There are two options. They can either be adopted by their trainer, which I keep in touch with Wendell's trainer all the time. We talk about him. But she had another dog that failed, and it's all college students actually, from ISU and Bradley. They train these dogs, and they get to take them to class and all these things. So she was a college student, so she wasn't too far from my age, and she had another service dog that failed, and she adopted her, and her name's Ivy. But otherwise, people can submit applications to be able to adopt the dogs. Wendell was actually trained with Rue, and he failed, so I was able to adopt him through the application essay process. He's so full of personality and energy. He just wants to interact with every human and every dog that he sees, which is what was the biggest thing that made them turn away. He's not always friendly with other dogs, and I mean, you pass another service dog like Rue, we don't want him going after anybody. So he doesn't get to go anywhere.
Do you go into where they source their dogs, PGI does?
I didn't go into it in here, but Wendell, I can give a little backstory on how we know where Wendell came from. Rue was adopted from a breeder. Actually, that's a good point too. I was talking about this earlier to Kim. So his tail, you can see it's too low, so his knees turn in when he sits, and his nose, look this way, is, turn around. So his nose is pink, and these two traits were gonna have him put down by the breeder. And so PGI adopted him so that he could have a better life and that he wasn't in a high-kill shelter. And then Wendell was in a high-kill shelter, and PGI adopted him, and he went to a prison for like the non-violent criminals, and they trained him for a while. So it's beneficial to both of them. Wendell had a lot of anxiety when they first got him, and the only thing he learned in prison was how to sit pretty. But you know what, it was a great experience for everybody involved. And then PGI took him back from the prison, and he went through all of his training. And then now we can kind of go into some of the skills that he has to do. And I do a lot of training with Wendell, so I feel like I've got it down pretty good of how to teach him how to do new skills all the time. I haven't done much work with Rue because he's not my dog. But I don't know how comfortable he's going to be with me, so we're gonna try and do some of his newer tricks, but we'll see. And then I'll go over, they have keywords that they're given from the trainers, and then we do no painful punishments. We aren't spanking our dogs, we're not ripping them by the collar, nothing like that. If he does something really terrible and he's, makes a giant mess in the trash or something, which he doesn't, but if he were to, he just goes in the crate for 5 or 10 minutes, and that's all we do. We're not hurting them in any way. So I'll go over the keywords first. So I don't want him to be upset, but the word it means he's doing something wrong, and he takes it very seriously when he hears So this means that they're doing something wrong if you give them a command and they go the wrong way. I mean, he's still a person, he gets confused, so you just tell him and that's their recall, that they're not doing something right and they can figure it out. We also use that's it, so if they're kind of moving in the direction of what you want them to do, but they aren't, but they aren't actually doing it, you say that's it, and then they usually get it from there. They're really smart, and after all that training, they understand their words. And then instead of like, good boy or good job, we say yes, because it's something that's more clear. I struggle with Wendell with this a lot. I always just want to be like, good job, good boy. but they don't understand that they did it right unless you say yes. So here, let's do a fun one. Find mom. Oh, that's not. Oh, let's do first person. Good job. Okay,
Boy,
let's
what the
find.
hell?
He went for help, that's how he
Yeah.
goes and finds help from Chase.
Find mom. There she is.
Yes.
Yes. So that's one of the skills that he does. And actually,
I'm supposed to say show him and bring back to you.
yeah, well, he's not gonna do it for me. He never does it for anybody
So
else.
what he typically does at home if Chase is having a seizure is he'll come up and he'll find one of us, we're all mom. Todd's mom, I'm mom, any human in the crowd. He once was by himself at a car show and had a seizure behind a tree, and Rue went out and found mom, which was some random guy that was walking past.
Well,
And
you were
nudged-
with him.
No, that was a different time. Another time we were at a car show, and Chase had a concrete on the or had a seizure on the concrete, and so I'm dealing with him. Rue takes off running, and I'm like, oh great, like I just lost this very expensive service animal. Chase is gonna wake up and be furious with me that I lost his dog. He came back with a full team of EMTs. We must have passed them at some point during the day, and he took note and remembered where they were. He knew exactly where he was going. They were back in probably 2 minutes. And he was leading them. They were just following.
He'll go to nurses and stuff first.
They loved him up at Northwestern because
He
he
worked
actually went to the
at,
nurses station.
The
They were
nursing
trying
home.
to get Chase to seize up there, and he wouldn't seize and wouldn't seize. And then he finally had a seizure, and nobody was there, and he ran out and got him. He saved Chase's life a few times.
Yes, a handful of times, for sure. Chase has had some very scary seizures that are really long, and that can do brain damage and all sorts of things. So especially the biggest reason that we have Rue is SUDEP. It's called sudden unexpected death in epilepsy, and that happens in their sleep. So everybody's asleep in the house and Chase has a seizure. We're not gonna hear him. He's on
Yeah.
the bottom floor because he can't do stairs, and everybody else is on the top floor. So we would never hear him. So if Chase were to have a seizure, there's 2 ways that Rue can alert. He has a doorbell. If Chase's door is shut, he has a doorbell that'll ring through the house to let us know that he's having a seizure. Or 2, if he can get the door open, he'll come and find us. But yes,
So if you ever have a dog, even if they're not in vest in case someone's on vacation or whatever, if you ever have a dog come up and do that, say show me, because that's a pretty universal thing, and they will bring you to their person that needs
Yeah.
help.
when Chase worked at the nursing home too,
Yeah.
Rue knew to run past all the residents and find a nurse. And he figured that out on his own. And Chase, most of the time, Rue would be, come here, place. Place. So Rue would be stuck in a room somewhere, place. And Chase would be off doing his job, and then say, Chase had a seizure. Okay. He knows where they are at all times, and he will go and find them. But do you want to go over some of like the basic stuff that he has to do in public? The biggest one is heel, or sometimes it's line up. This is to keep him out of the way of people, especially at the airport. They're very strict. If Rue doesn't listen to one command, we're going to be there for a while to get Rue on the plane. And how they test him at the airport is what I just did. They make him stay somewhere, and they make Chase go through TSA, and if he moves, he's not getting on the plane.
And a service dog will never go ahead of its owner through a doorway, unless it's a seeing eye dog. But a medical response dog like Rue, will not walk ahead of Chase through a doorway. You'll watch if she tries to walk through a doorway, he'll kind of hang back. We're making sure she goes first.
So, another one that they do, like if Chase is waiting in a line, behind. No, I didn't say that yet. I think the leash might be confusing him. He's getting caught. Ready? Behind. And then he goes and he sits like this while Chase waits in line places. Good job. Yes. So that's something that I'll have to do a lot. I mean, you are with them more than I am. What are some good?
We go out to eat.
Under.
Yes, around the table.
Under, sit. Yes.
And then he comes around and nudges everybody.
Yeah, for food. Yeah.
Pokes your leg with his snout.
Leave it.
Oh, this is one
He
that
hates
we
it.
have
He
to
hates
do.
this one.
We have to do this with all of our dogs and they all hate it. Sit. Yes. Okay. Leave it. Okay. He hates that one. If you make him wait too long, he's like, wait until you look away and then that tree's gone. He does not like that one very much.
The roll. Where you
I
sit.
did that a couple of times when they walked in. I'm so used to that one. No, he won't stop sitting. Stand up. Up. Nope. Stand. No. On your legs. He's not gonna let me do it. Okay. He has hand signals too. So he has this, which is sit, and then he has this, which is down. Come here. Sit. Oh, I said it. So he knows his hand signals too.
That way if Chase is somewhere like church or school, he can use the hand signals to guide Rue. But Rue will also switch. He'll switch. If he goes like
Oh,
this
yeah.
and makes a J, he'll switch which side he's laying on, so his feet and tail are under the table and he doesn't, it's less likely to get stepped on or hurt somebody.
Good job. Yes. What's like a skill that you think he struggles with that I could try? That's it.
That he struggles with.
Yeah. Like, what do you think something that he wouldn't do?
Lately, he hasn't been wanting to get up in cars.
Yeah, I did have
Yeah.
trouble with him on the way here.
And that was
in
one of
car.
the things on his research. But he did good on his research with that one, I think, but it was leaving the food that,
Yeah.
Walking past something and leaving it,
Okay.
ignoring it. He likes
Let's
to
try that.
scavenge off the floor,
Yeah.
which is dangerous because we
Sit.
don't know what it is.
Stay.
How old is he?
Come here. Come here.
Fine.
Leave it. Come on. Rue. Leave it. Come here. See, so that's something that Rue has trouble with. And he's not listening to it then, it's very good. He definitely listens to Chase better. I don't think he takes me as seriously as he does Chase. So there's that. We've actually had that problem too when we leave him with family for a little while. Our little cousins like to handle him when Chase is off in the water and stuff, and they do not listen. He does not listen to them at all. I don't know, what are some good tricks that he does? He has actually picked this one up from Wendell too. Sit. So Wendell has a white paw and a black paw, and he knows the difference. So if you ask him for his white paw, he'll give you his white paw. And if you ask him for his black paw, he'll give you his black paw. And Rue's picked up on this one just from watching Wendell do it. White paw. Yes. Black paw. And black paw. Yes. Good job. So he knows that one too. Does anybody have any questions about service animals or how we get them or anything like that?
You said they're quite expensive. What is the cost?
I think Rue was estimated at around $50,000, and we didn't pay any of that. So he was donated to us, but Chase was on a waiting list for 2 years until he could get a sponsor. I'm not really sure. I don't know if you know how the whole sponsorship process works, or if they just go down the line.
For PJ.
Yeah.
They don't go down the line because different dogs are gonna be certified for different things, so they get the dogs, and they have this agreement with several breeders. Which is, one of them is Rue's, so that the dogs aren't killed, because breeders don't want their genetic lines to go out there and get bred with faults, or to steal their genetic line and, you know, that they're selling, because these high-end breeders, when the dogs are imperfect, they kill the puppies, so that there's no risk of the genetic line continuing. So places like PGI, where these nonprofit organizations get these contracts with these breeders, like Rue came from Minnesota, and what they do is the breeder even pays for the flights for one of the PGI employees to go fly, pick up the dog, and bring it back. But they have an agreement that the dog will not be bred and will be spayed as soon as they can, or neutered as soon as they can. But then they donate these beautiful, wonderful temper dogs because the temperaments are consistent for different things. So they kind of knew Rue was coming, and that he was very calm because he's an English Yellow Lab, and those are specifically bred to be stockier, which is what Rue is. So for stability purposes, he's stronger than a normal lab. He's also got a calmer temperament than like an American Lab would. And so that's kind of where some of the dogs, they also do some rescue dogs. Like some people will say, hey, you know, they've got feelers out in the communities, and as far south as like Alabama and stuff too, of rescue shelters, that if they get a dog that hits certain markers, like puppies, that hit certain markers that are things that they're looking for service dogs, then they will contact PGI, and then someone from PGI will go down and retrieve the dog and bring it to train to a service dog. Not all of them make it, as we know in our house,
Yeah,
but
but everybody's good at something.
yes,
Right.
they make wonderful pets when they fail. But
And they didn't know about Wendell's temper when he was in the prison because he wasn't around any other dogs,
yeah,
anything like that. That was something that came later when he was trying to train with dogs like Rue. They kind of train them. I think I had a picture toward the back. So like these facilities, they're filled with dogs. So Chase is there training, and there's all these dogs around, and then you have one dog that's like trying to go after every time he passes a dog. I mean, that's just not okay. And they tried for years to break him of it, and they couldn't.
so they get the dogs from these different sources that, so they get them for free. And then they have donors, like Subaru is one of their biggest donors. Their season of giving that you see all the commercials for, well, that's what got us Rue.
Yeah.
That's where that came from. That was Gary Uftring Subaru in Peoria that specifically donated for Rue and paid for him in full for us to get him. And they go out, and there's grants, and they have quite the. It started with 2 college girls. They were in college, and they thought they could train service dogs, and they just started it, and it became where they're really churning out this nonprofit organization. How many dogs a year would you say that they're placing? 15, 20?
Probably, yeah.
15 or 20 dogs a year getting placed. Service dogs are getting full, like Rue, trained like Rue. But they do all different things. There's some dogs that are there for stability.
Right.
There's dogs that are there, like there's kids and adults who have like cerebral palsy and stuff, and the dogs are trained, like Rue will bring you the remote, he'll open the refrigerator, he can throw away garbage. He does it better at home because he's familiar. We have a thing.
Yeah, we
that
have
he
like
can-
ropes on stuff.
Yeah.
That he can
So
open.
he can get like a bottle of water for Chase to take his medicine, and these dogs are trained to do all of those things, pick things up.
Here, we
Rue
could
is
do
also
this.
trained for how to ride or walk next to a wheelchair and not get caught up in the wheelchair. That's something else he's trained in case Chase were to ever be in a wheelchair, right? But that's kind of a standard for service dogs, that they're trained of how to, navigate with a wheelchair.
Bring it.
So there's dogs that do that. They can open doors.
Bring
they
me your
can
leash.
do automatic doors, push
Bring
the
me your
handicap
leash.
buttons.
That's it. That's it.
So
That's
different
it.
dogs have different
Bring it.
temperaments, and depending on what they're.
Now,
being
Wendell does this one
used
really
for.
good. I thought Rude did it too. Bring it. Thank you. Yes.
And when Chase goes to the hospital, the dog goes with him, but then there has to be somebody else with him
Why not?
to take care of the dog.
Why not?
But that's okay, cause he needs the comfort of his dog too.
Oh,
Yeah, he goes to hospital.
So Rue's a lab, so what other kind of dogs?
I was just about to talk about that. So temperament is a huge thing. You're not gonna see very many Rottweilers, Great Danes, anything like that.
See a lot of
Or
great things.
any,
Poodles, standard poodles.
poodles.
you'll see a lot of poodles, a lot of doodles. They do have trouble with their doodles, so I've heard from my dog's trainer. They're a little more energetic and harder to tame. So they can get them to do all the things, but if you put them with somebody who needs stability, they're gonna go running instead of slowly walking and guiding. So they also kind of use different dogs for different things. So that's a huge thing. I think they do a little bit of Great Danes too, don't they?
They use Great Danes for stability dogs for adults.
Yeah. I meant not Great Dane, Dobermans. That's what I was
Oh,
gonna
okay.
say. Dobermans are more like protective dogs. I meant Doberman instead of Great Dane.
Yeah.
Great Dane. Also, another thing that I forgot to mention. This big, long orange leash is his water leash. So this is one of the times that Rue was off vest. This was at Santa Monica Pier. And I was getting to play with him in the water and everything. He does not like salt water. He took a big old drink of it and he was gagging for a while. But, so this is another thing. They typically won't be off leash walking around anywhere unless it's really only a family setting. So we have this big long orange leash and that's how they go off into the water. So we didn't take his vest off until we were on the shoreline. And then we took it off so that it wasn't getting all wet in the water and so that Rue knew he could play. But you won't see them running around in the water off leash. That was something I wanted to mention. I put that picture on purpose.
If something were to happen to him or, as he gets older or something, would your brother be on a preferred list to get another dog?
Yeah,
then?
so Chase automatically gets another dog.
Okay.
So they kind of start projecting Rue's retirement. So if they are noticing, especially this is a big thing with labs, that his hips are, that his joints are kind of starting to decline, or if he's overweight. That's a big thing with Rue is his weight. Chase will get another service dog when Rue retires.
Can the dogs be recycled, trained for somebody else?
That is a question that I don't think that we've encountered. I wouldn't think so. Like if he's been working, like with how long he's been working with Chase, I mean you saw him there, he doesn't listen to me. Not
No.
near as well as he listens to Chase. And my dog doesn't listen. They complain about it all the time when I leave, that he doesn't listen to them. He only listens to me. So I don't know if they could create that bond with somebody else because they specifically keep them with their trainers for a shorter period of time so they don't get too attached and that they can't train for somebody else.
And part of that bond is created like, unless Chase is incapacitated for, in some reason, we don't take a potty, we don't feed him.
Yeah.
Same thing with her dog. You know, that bond is created by every one of those dogs' needs are met by the handler.
Yeah.
So we don't feed Wendell, I will let Wendell out in the mornings, but
And
typically
if I'm gone, they will take care of him. I mean, he's still a dog, he can't do it all on his own, but
Wendell's, you know, a little different because he's not really a service dog, but with Rue, if I let the other two dogs out in the morning, Chase's room is right off where I let him out, and Rue will sit there and look at me, and then Chase has to tell him it's okay to go outside.
Wow.
As the dog gets older, if he's retired and you can only have 3 dogs, what happens to him? Because I can imagine that if a dog were retired, the grief that dog would feel if he
I know the
didn't have
answer.
that home.
I have the answer to this, because that was a concern I had when we got another dog. Rue doesn't count.
I was just about to say that.
Oh.
Rue's the only exception. He would never be kicked to the curb, and also we won't really run into that problem because I'm in college by the time that that would happen, we would be out of the house with Wendell.
And Rue doesn't, the reason they have the 3-dog rule is the service dog, the other dogs, and we kind of do a little bit too, because Wendell is an in-home service dog.
It's technically only supposed to be one other, right?
No, it's 2. We can have up to 3. But the other, they pick up bad habits from,
Yeah.
like Todd's dog is not you know, she jumps on us. She's pretty good. She's a pretty calm dog, but she jumps on you, and she's not. I mean, she's a regular dog.
Yeah.
So they don't want these dogs getting broken with bad habits from the other dogs.
It's like,
So Rue would not be teaching a new dog bad habits because he would actually probably be setting the example for the behavior that's appropriate.
yeah.
Rue will probably aid in the training for a new dog.
Yeah, I
As
would
an
think so.
example.
Yeah.
And we try to do that with Boo, my dad's dog that jumps on people and everything. We try to practice with the other dogs. She has separation anxiety. She was abused and then we rescued her. So when somebody comes home, especially my dad, she's very bonded with my dad. When he leaves the house, she's whining. And he's on 3 days or 2 hours. She's whining the entire time. And then when he gets home, she's super excited. One time, I'll tell a story about Boo at Ace. One time my dad left the window down at Ace when he went in to pick something up and she was in the back seat. It was summertime. She saw a man that freaked her out walk past the car and he must have tried to pet her or something. She jumped out. We lived all the way over by the old bowling alley. She ran all the way home before my dad was even out of the store.
And
Luckily,
the
they
police
were
officer
home.
witnessed this because my husband went up to the police officer and said, "Did you see my dog?" And she goes, "A white dog?" And he's like, "Yes." She goes, "Bolton that way." We'd only
We
had
don't
her
know
for
how she,
we'd only had her like 4 months at this point, and she found her way home all the way from Ace Hardware to our house way out by the bowling alley.
Wow.
In under 20 minutes. Because he came home crying. My husband came home in tears. He lost her. He was freaking out, and we didn't even know that he had taken her.
He loves her
So
more
we
than
just
us.
saw her out
Like, he
running.
is
She
so attached to
jumped
her.
the fence and got back into the backyard at our house. And he came in and he's like, "What is she doing here? Why is she here?" We were like, "What do you mean, why is she here?" You know, we had no idea all this drama had been going on. But she bolted home.
I think we're all really all conscious to ask Chase about what Rue can do, or, I don't know, you know, what I
Yeah.
mean, it's like, it's Chase's dog, so we don't tell Rue what to do,
No,
we'll say,
and like-
Chase, can he have a trainer?
Another big thing is Rue is still a dog and he's got, you know, they're born with certain urges, they're born with, what's the word that I'm looking for?
I'm not sure where you're headed.
I'm trying to think of what the word is. So if he messes up, don't go giving a handler, you know, a lot of grief about it. We've had people, when we were at Santa Monica Pier actually, Chase's dog did bump into someone and it was a grown man that turned around and cocked his arm back like he was gonna punch Chase in the face because Rue brushed up against him. Because Chase lost sight of, you know, Chase has brain damage from these seizures. He's not always super conscious of where Rue is. Rue is conscious and he's always next to him, but he can't always squeeze in small spaces.
Yeah.
So it was like a vendor, and Chase tried to get up, and there was a big group of people went up to the vendor. Rue wants to be right next to him, so he kind of weaseled his way. And this guy cocked back like he was gonna punch Chase over the dog, and she came running at so fast. I was like, "That is a service dog." She's
They
so
called me a liar, but I had Rue's vest hooked over mine.
Yeah.
Because he was wet from playing in the water. He wasn't wet. We had rinsed him off and dried him, but he was still damp. But he brushed up against this man's leg and he cocked his arm back like he was gonna punch Chase. And I was like, "He's our service dog," and he said some pretty unpleasant language to me. "No, he's not," and I whipped the vest up. And he backed off. I will say, to his credit, he backed off immediately when he saw the vest in my hand.
So don't go giving people a lot of grief
No,
over
he
it.
just
They
backed
mess
off
up.
fast.
They're kind of born that way. You know, he doesn't know social cues. He's still a dog. So all he knows is his handler and what he's supposed to do for his handler. So him brushing up against the guy, it is his fault, but it's not. He doesn't know that that was inappropriate. And Chase probably wouldn't even think anything of it either because, I mean, we're so used to dogs at home brushing up against us all the time. We've had service dogs at car shows, we see them everywhere. And they're bumping up against us all the time. It's such a small space, so we're kind of used to it. So I don't know if that's something that he would even
he started college.
Yes, I said that at the beginning.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, he's in college and Rue goes to class and he does really well, so I hear. I don't have any classes with him, but he just lays under the table. Chase had his first exam today, his first college exam, and he said that Rue didn't interrupt him once for a treat, so he was pretty impressed. That is another thing that he has an issue with. Like if I stood here, you might have seen him a couple times. When I stand here with a treat in my hand, he's gonna start nudging me for a treat because his cue when he needs something is to nudge his handler. If he needs to go potty, he's gonna nudge Chase. So nudge, nudge. Come here and nudge. That's it. There you go. Yes.
Usually he's doing it.
I know. Usually he's like all over.
When Chase has a seizure, he nudges me so hard it leaves a bruise on my thigh.
This was
But that's how we
another
know
thing.
it's not treat,
Yeah.
it's Chase, his boy is in
Well,
trouble.
he gets your attention.
Yeah.
He's
So-
serious about it.
About Rue's food motivation. So these are low-calorie training treats, and these are his favorite yogurt treats. So he'll do just about anything for these. So that's another thing that we use, I use at least to train my dog, is the difference in value of treats for the trick. So if I'm telling him to sit, he's gonna get a training treat. If I'm telling him to do bang bang drop dead, he's getting something like this. Nudge, nudge. There you go. That was a good nudge. Yes.
When Rue's on a diet, his treats are carrot chips. He's not as thrilled with those.
No, he drops them and looks at you. He used to love them, and now he's over them.
He's sick, he's over.
But I think that's everything that I had to say. But mostly the biggest thing is just be conscious of the indicators of fake ones and know what you're saying to somebody with a real service dog. Be conscious of that too. Those are the two biggest things.
And when that vest comes off, he really does. play.
Yeah, I thought about letting him take his vest off, but I
Yeah.
don't know how everybody would feel
Doing
about that.
leaps and-
He gets the zoomies.
Yeah.
He did not want to get dressed for me. That's another thing too. Maybe I should let him off. And then I'll show you. So he's gonna get all excited that he's not working anymore, and then I'm gonna go to put this vest back on, and he's gonna back away from me. You excited? Do you feel better now?
So it's okay for you to pet him now?
Yep.
Okay.
So I was gonna kind of let if anybody wants to pet him, go see. Like he's way more energetic.
Oh, yeah, he's a different dog.
Oh, of course. And when I used to work, I was like a person, wouldn't have to get up and work.
Come this way, Bruce.
I see you all.
Anybody want to give him a treat?
Oh, normally I have.
I would do open hand.
Yeah. He
Normally
gets
I have
really,
dog
yeah.
treats with me all the time.
She wants to get him a treat now.
Fine.
I think he,
Bruce,
you
come
want
here.
one?
No, that's
Go
okay,
see.
but he probably has.
Here, Rose.
Wrong way. Right here. Go see.
Oh, yeah,
You guys want to give him a treat?
I know, I've got all kinds of
These
dogs.
friends.
He's found out that Grandpa is a weak link. He can
And then I'll
Crap,
kind
crap
of
is
show you
easy.
guys.
push over and get him a treat or.
Grandpa's usually all right.
No, it's okay.
Well, this is,
Yeah.
this has been extremely interesting. I mean, I've had dogs all my life, I have four of them now.
All right.
Turkish shock, five shock, all kinds of stuff.
All right, Bruce, come back.
And
Come on.
I'm rad about therapy dogs and it's just been really interesting. I think I know more than the average person, but this is
So when
really enlightening.
We're going to leave home. He did not want to get dressed to work for me because I am not his handler.
It is, I mean,
But we'll
it's
see how he does with the treats.
so many